Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hello, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 1, Episode 8, titled Dax. In this episode, a group of random alien guys try to extradite Jadzia Dax to stand trial for a crime that Curzon Dax committed. And then they have an extradition meeting sort of thing, and everything gets resolved. What did you think?
I am so happy this is not Q-List 2.
Yeah, I expect the people funding the show were happy as well.
This was so much better than Q-List. Well, a lot of things are better than Q-List, but you mentioned last episode that it would be interesting if Dax were absent the whole time in an episode called Dax. And so then when it started off with the kidnapping, I thought, oh, is that really what's going to happen here? But it wasn't. It worked out anyway, though.
Yeah, she didn't do much, though. She barely spoke.
Yeah, even in an episode bearing her name, she barely does anything.
It doesn't matter. It was a very exciting episode, I thought. Although, I really think the plot was ropey.
Is that your segue into your list of criticisms?
Oh, well, no. I genuinely thought the plot was ropey. Well, to explain it, my list of criticisms is about 6 or 7 things. Some of them quite serious.
Uh-oh. I'm sure one of them is the opening.
Well, that's not a criticism, but I did want to talk about that. Bashir, he's just becoming a sort of sex pest. He's full-on creeper.
Yeah, Bashir continues to descend into a slimy, reprehensible person.
He's also extremely useless. He saw them kidnapping Dax, and instead of calling for backup, he just runs at them, punches the first guy, then trips up over nothing, and then doesn't punch the next person because they happen to be female.
He had the advantage of surprise and still managed to trip over nothing.
And then he gets knocked out. And again, he was sleeping in the corridor. No one said anything. No one cared.
Yeah, no one worried about his whereabouts.
He was also a bit of a creep later on when he was giving sort of testimony. I don't know if it's called testimony. He just gave me a creepy vibe.
Yeah, I got that too, because it's supposed to be endearing, I guess, because he doesn't want to say anything that could spoil Dax's defense. But he's only doing that because he hopes to be her bedfellow. It's not out of a sense of camaraderie or anything. He's just gross.
Well, maybe it's just not been portrayed that well. I think there is supposed to be some camaraderie between Starfleet officers. But yeah, it really does just look like he doesn't want her body to leave his presence. Oh, God.
It seems really difficult to rehabilitate his character as so far.
Well, if it keeps going like this.
Yeah, on this trajectory, it's really bad.
He'll end up locked up.
Oh, and when he's giving testimony, how he's an interested party. He shouldn't even be allowed to testify as a medical expert on the matter because the guy asking him questions knocked him out and was assaulted. And it was very strange to me that he was even being taken seriously.
They did the same. They brought up that issue with the Trill guy. So they raised the very same point previously when the Trill testified.
But when they had more claim to bring that up against Bashir, but no one thought to.
Yeah, I can just jump into my criticisms because there's a fair few.
Yeah, let's go into it.
Okay, I'll start with the trivial stuff. At the start, Bashir gets knocked out, and then he wakes up. He then finally decides to tell someone, and he messages like pip beeps Cisco. Cisco immediately says seal off levels 4 through 12 without any idea like where the problem is. I don't know why he thought that was the right answer. Maybe
those are his favorite numbers.
I don't know. There could be a reason, but it seems a little bit odd. And the other trivial one, I don't know if this stood out to you, but did it say Keiko? It said Miles O'Brien was taking his wife to see her mother on her 100th birthday? I may have got this wrong. I think
so.
But wait, so how old is Keiko?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, how old is O'Brien's daughter? Like 2 or something? It's quite confusing.
Was it her 100th birthday, or was that from the Arbiter?
No, maybe. I'll cut in a sound clip if I'm right, and if I'm wrong, I'll edit this entire section out.
Station log, stardate 46910.1. Chief O'Brien has escorted his wife back to Earth to celebrate her mother's 100th birthday. In the meantime...
To briefly go back to Bashir rushing in like an idiot, that makes sense for his character, because I imagined him having this fantasy in his head that he would save Dax and then she would fall in love with him over that display of masculinity.
Yeah, that does make sense. I wouldn't really say that's a criticism of the plot or writing, it's just a criticism of Bashir. Okay, so the next thing I'm about to say is about Bashir. He gets kind of crumbed out by a really obviously loaded question. He says there's no evidence, or there's no way of saying one way or the other, and he wouldn't want to guess. And then the guy just asks if there's evidence that it did happen, thus loading... That's a loaded question. He's got to say no, as if he's implying that it didn't happen. But that's really obviously a loaded question. And then he just goes, oh, no, and then literally hangs his head in shame and walks away.
Yeah.
No one says anything like, that's a bit of a loaded question. I mean, most of my issues are with this sort of the way the trial played out.
Yeah, and they keep reminding us this is not a trial because they do not follow any sort of what we know of how a trial should be run.
It's a farce.
Typically.
Interesting that they say it's not a trial repeatedly, but in the end, the extradition order gets overturned because they get evidence that could be used in the trial to disprove the verdict of guilty. That shouldn't have made a difference. Plus that evidence, it's just some woman comes in and says, nah, I was sleeping with him. And she's like, oh, well then.
Well, this is all for naught.
Yeah, despite the fact this went like 7 or 8 times or something in the episode, they said it's not a trial, we're not judging the legality of the situation. So I thought that was kind of a really weak ending to what was otherwise quite an exciting episode. Especially the start, I thought was very exciting.
Yeah, I liked, overall, I liked the episode a lot.
Oh, I've got more stuff about the trial.
Go on.
I'm going to pick it to bits. Okay, so she has a symbiont, or whatever it is, and they keep going on about whether they can try Curzon separate to Jadzia or if they're the same. At no point do they mention the 5 or 6 other dudes that came before Curzon.
Oh, that's irrelevant.
Surely it's not. It's deeply relevant. I mean, it completely strengthens the case to say you're killing 7 people or 8 or however many to get 1 person. That severely weakens the enemy's case. That's, I would say, their strongest point, and they never brought it up. I mean, it's kind of like a Merchant of Venice situation.
And they even had the perfect introduction to that argument with that first witness, the Trill guy, where he talks about having, I forgot how many he had, how many
7, I think.
Personalities. Okay, 7. But nope, they just focus on the one that made a person dead, apparently, and then the one after.
Here's another thing. Surely this has happened before in the history of the Trill race. They must have a legal precedent on the Trill homeworld for what to do.
Yeah, I kept waiting for that when he assigned Kira to look up legal precedents. I thought, okay, there has to be something unless Trills just started existing.
It's episode 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the Trill that turned up, you'd think he would say, when this happens, this is what we do.
Yeah,
and that would have great
Trill
weight.
expert.
Yeah. They never even asked him what is the precedent here.
Oh, I bet he doesn't know. Let's just dance around that.
So yeah, the writing was quite kind of... it was a sort of adventure writing. Event to event, exciting, but it didn't really have... it wasn't really... I have no idea what I'm saying. Help.
It's a good storytelling device. We learn a lot about the Trills, and then we're left to ponder this pretty interesting premise. But it's not really held together through logic or realism.
That is what I was trying to convey.
Well, that's what I inferred. So good job.
Oh, okay. It was kind of like a blockbuster episode. Or like a Happy Meal episode.
Yeah, I don't think about it too much.
It was nice to see Cisco and Dax get some time together. Also, Cisco starts acting very irrationally at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, he has some wild mood swings.
When he went to Dax's room, there's something you probably didn't see.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet whatever you're about to say I didn't see.
Something from an Indiana Jones film.
Oh, I did not spot anything of that nature.
Well, you might want to watch it again, because there's the fertility idol from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Not the one from the film, but a replica. It's not gold, it's like stone. But it is the same, the kind of grinning face of the idol. I think it's giving birth or something.
Are there subtle Indiana Jones references throughout Deep Space Nine?
There's tons of references. There's one every episode or two. There's been like 3 Ren and Stimpy references that I've skipped over. A couple of Star Wars ones. If you pause it whenever it goes onto like one of the iPads, you can often see silly stuff written on them.
Ah, that's wonderful.
But they don't often have set pieces that are direct references, but they do sometimes. I think it's not... You're not supposed to see them. It's not supposed to be dropping a reference in there. It's just the sort of set designers and graphic designers having a little bit of fun.
Yeah, like the Wilhelm screen for audio people.
Yeah, exactly. Often the planet names are silly stuff. That's one of the Ren and Stimpy references, was they went to Hoek 4. And if you've seen Ren and Stimpy, Ren's name is Ren Hoek.
Ah, right. Okay. That's pretty subtle.
You wouldn't notice it, but they're there. I usually don't bother mentioning them. I look them up on the wiki and say, that's not worth mentioning. But I thought this one was quite interesting because I didn't spot it and I had to go back and see it again. It's on like the top shelf of... there's like a display cabinet in the middle of the room that they keep walking around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the top shelf of that. Oh! Something that gave me a twinge of joy was, how this... our discourse is often peppered with tortured analogies.
Yes.
Well, speaking of pepper, Cisco had one about salt that made very little sense.
Oh, yeah, he was so excited to say it, too.
It's like, yeah, I've got you now. Put the salt in something else, and you've got another thing. Ha!
Case closed.
The guy just looks at him like, what?
Yeah, it made me laugh, especially because of the big giant grin he had on. He said it.
Yeah, he gets super happy. I guess in his mind, he's won the trial.
Yeah,
he even says,
expects just a parade of high fives after he says that. Again, Cisco and Odo talk about making presumptions about someone. He says, I knew the man, when talking about the old Dax. And before he assured Odo, oh, I'm sure you didn't kill that guy. But he really shouldn't just assume people are innocent just because they're on his team.
So Odo doesn't take character references with much weight at all, which is good because character references are terrible, and were also the sort of backbone of Sisko's defense. He even calls himself just to give more character reference.
Oh yeah, that was great. I call myself.
It's a good thing Odo sorted everything out. Oh, I just realised Kira said at the start that the Bajorans have an interest in how they knew the station so well. That plot thread was never resolved. Although it was cool to see Kira basically saving the situation again.
And she has that great line where she says, it annoys us, referring to the guy's knowledge of the ship and security.
We should maybe count up how many times they all would have died without Kira and O'Brien. Those two do 90% of the work.
It was weird to me when Sisko wasn't interested in the truth, where he said, all right, find information that only confirms my narrative and helps us. And if you find stuff to the contrary, just ignore it. That's not very scientific at all. So it's weird to me that he's more interested in possibly saving a murderer than finding the truth.
Yeah, which is weird because the guiding principle of every Starfleet officer is to the truth, be it historical truth or scientific truth or personal truth.
Yeah, and that's not his aim at all.
So I'm quoting a famous speech from Next Gen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sisko really went off the deep end a little bit. It kind of makes you think he's possibly not fit to be in command of a space station.
From what we've seen, yeah, he's unfit.
If it was just this episode you'd think, why is this guy in charge? He's very selfish and doesn't really seem to care about anything but furthering his own personal goals. Which is
it looks bad if he has a murderer on his team, so let's not bring that to light if it is true.
It's unfair because he is actually good. So, I don't know. I guess they tried to give him an emotional response, which was difficult. So the way they portrayed that was they made him go kind of angry and also irrational.
That's fair. When people are faced with great stress and turmoil, they can make bad decisions.
I guess. His acting, Avery Brooks, is a mile ahead of the pilot by now. Yeah,
it's not even comparable. It's so much better.
Yeah, he's really taken the role, and I think this was an episode where he actually did shine. I mean, I say his character was acting crazy, but it fit with the situation, and he did portray it very well.
Yeah, it was fine within the context, and he did a great job. Have we made it all the way through your list of criticisms?
Well, I could probably think of more, but I haven't written any more down.
I have one.
Oh, go for it.
Dax has a degree in zoology, but she doesn't know how to say it.
What did she say?
She said zoology. It's not zoology. It's zoology. It's so minor, and I shouldn't even. I'm being so pedantic.
Well, maybe the translator, universal translators don't know how to pronounce it.
There we go.
That is a new level of pedantry. We should try and find a more pedantic issue to bring up in a future episode. Although I think we would struggle.
Yeah, that would be hard to match that.
So, do you have a quote of the show?
I do. I can't fight what I don't know about, which is another way of saying know your enemy, or keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. Wow, I butchered that.
I would have chosen a slightly different one. I would have chosen it's just business, and business is business.
Yeah, I had that one written down too.
Although
we
we
didn't talk about that exchange.
Yeah, Odo, after in the Tusk episode, he flirted with interpreting the law.
Now he's corrupted.
Yeah, he's just gone to the dark side.
He toys with Quark through thinly disguised blackmail.
Yeah, I think it's probably just because it's Quark. I don't think he'd do that to anyone else, even if he thought they were a criminal. Because he'd probably doubt himself a little bit. Whereas with Quark, there's no doubt.
Yeah, you're right about that.
We cannot fight what we don't know. I don't think that's true. They have laser guns on that space station. They would work in most cases.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I've had enough. I want to get on to the next episode.
Are you sure?
Well, I might change my mind when I remember what one it is, but who knows, yeah. Maybe it's excellent.
Let's hope.